Most people gain about a pound over the holiday season. If you don't do anything to counteract this weight gain over 20 years, that's 20 pounds, and this is just over the holiday season. One of the best things you can do to prevent holiday weight gain is to adopt a feasting and fasting lifestyle. That's what I'm going to teach you how to do in this video. You'll learn the 6-1 intermittent fasting schedule that you can easily implement into your life so you not only prevent holiday weight gain, you may actually lose some this year. You're going to learn what you can drink during your fasting window, the best foods to eat during your feeding window, and we'll talk about the difference between learned or conditional hunger and physical hunger, because intermittent fasting is a surefire way to recalibrate your relationship with food. Be sure to watch all the way until the end, where I'll share my best tips to combat hunger when you're fasting. It's sure to come up and you need to be armed with some strategies to overcome it. Otherwise, you won't be very successful implementing intermittent fasting into your lifestyle. If you're looking for actionable, science-backed advice for weight loss and disease prevention, then be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn the bell on to get notified every time I post a new video. Also, hit that like button if you get value from a video and leave a comment. I read all the comments and try to respond to all of them personally. Who am I to talk about intermittent fasting? Well, I teach all about the topic in my online program, Weight Loss for Health. And I've had the privilege of interviewing intermittent fasting expert Cynthia Thurlow a couple of times for my podcast. Not only do I teach the weight loss benefits of intermittent fasting, but in my online program, I dive into the disease-fighting benefits of autophagy or cellular cleaning that occurs. After watching my lesson about fasting to prevent disease, one course member said, "Okay, you had me at lowering the risk of Alzheimer's. Due to family history, I have been absolutely convinced that Alzheimer's is in my future. While fasting is scary to me, Alzheimer's is much scarier. I was aware of what happens to the brain with Alzheimer's, but not how those beta proteins got there or what could be done to remove them." All right, let's dive into my favorite intermittent fasting schedule for the holidays, and that's the 6-1 schedule. This means that 6 days a week you are doing either a 16-8 or 18-6 hour fasting to feeding window. For 16 to 18 hours of the day you fast, and for 6 to 8 you eat. Fasting includes time when you're sleeping, so it's really not going to be as hard as you initially think. I typically stop eating around 6 p.m. and start eating again around noon the following day. So this is technically an 18-6 hour window that works great for my schedule, but you could easily adjust those hours to fit your lifestyle. Some people prefer to skip breakfast, others prefer to skip dinner. We like eating dinner together as a family, and I prefer not to have to worry about feeding myself and doing more cooking and cleaning when I'm home with my kids most days of the week. Or on my work days, I want the increased mental clarity and focus intermittent fasting provides, so waiting until lunch to eat works great for my schedule. You'll do that 6 days a week, usually Monday through Saturday. Know that when you start out, it's okay if you just start at even 12 hours. Then you work your way up an hour a day until you get to 16 hours. It can take 2 to 6 weeks for your body to become more metabolically flexible and switch from burning sugar to fat for fuel. Lowering your carb intake will help speed up this process. Most of the time, you'll have 2 meals and maybe a high protein snack during your 6 to 8 hour feeding window. Sometimes I have all 3 meals. But on the holiday, you may just want to have one larger meal and a smaller snack or second meal. So that's the 6 part of the 6-1 schedule. The 1 means 1 meal a day or a 20 to 24 hour fast. I recommend placing this day directly following a big feast type meal. Give your body a day to recover and digest all the food before you put more in. Then have one larger healthy meal. You'll want to be sure this meal contains at least 30 grams of protein, ideally more, along with some fiber and healthy fat. The following day, just resume your 16 to 18 hour fasting window and get right back on track. This type of intermittent fasting schedule will help balance the somewhat normal increase in calories, stress, and other factors that contribute to holiday weight gain. I also find intermittent fasting a great technique to reduce grazing, which can be a huge contributing factor of holiday weight gain, especially if you're grazing on all the sweets at the office or in your home. I always like hearing from you and touching base mid-video to be sure you're with me. So if you've tried intermittent fasting, let me know what schedule you did and how it went. If you haven't, let me know that too. And if you have any questions I can answer for you about intermittent fasting in future videos, put those down there in the comments now. Let's move on to talking about what you can eat or drink when you're fasting. There are differing opinions here, but if you want the full benefits of fasting, you'll want to stick with water, black coffee, and plain tea. Putting fat in your coffee, or my favorite, half and half, even gum and mints can stimulate an insulin response and lessen the fasting benefits. So just stick with those plain liquids. I'll also sometimes do a naturally essenced sparkling water like a bubbly or LaCroix. Just make sure it doesn't have any artificial sweeteners in it. Regarding what you eat during the 6 to 8 hours when you do eat, I want you to download my ultimate food guide at weightlossforhealth.com/ultimate food guide. This is a more comprehensive list that will give you clarity and confidence about what you're eating and why. But in general, stick with lower carb, whole food options. Be sure to get plenty of protein, healthy fat, and fiber in each meal. Again, just download my food guide. It will make those choices easier for you. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the number one barrier that people state to trying intermittent fasting, and that's hunger. It's instinct to not want to be hungry, but I believe most people have lost sight of the difference between physical and emotional hunger. So we are going to cover the differences real quick. Intermittent fasting is a great way to recalibrate your relationship with food. And part of that is conditional or learned hunger. Emotional hunger comes on suddenly. It hits you in an instant and feels overwhelming and urgent. Physical hunger comes on more gradually. The urge to eat doesn't feel as immediate, and it doesn't demand to be satisfied right now, unless you haven't eaten for a very long time. Emotional hunger craves specific comfort foods. When you're physically hungry, almost anything sounds good, including healthy stuff like protein or vegetables. But with emotional hunger, you'll crave junk food or sugary snacks that provide an instant rush of energy. Emotional hunger often leads to mindless eating. Before you know it, you've eaten a whole bag of crackers or chips or an entire thing of ice cream without paying attention or even fully enjoying it. When you're eating in response to physical hunger, you're typically more aware of what you're doing. Mindless eating also comes in the form of grabbing food here and there just because you feel like you want something in your mouth, when some water or coffee, tea, or a piece of gum would do instead. Emotional hunger isn't satisfied once you're full. You want to keep eating more and more, often eating until you're uncomfortably full. Physical hunger, on the other hand, doesn't need to be stuffed. You feel satisfied when your stomach is full. At least for me, I notice that I eat dinner to satisfy my true physical hunger. But craving something sweet or snacking after dinner is learned or conditional hunger. Emotional hunger isn't located in the stomach. Remember, hunger actually starts in your brain at the sight, smell, even thought of food. Rather than feeling your stomach grumble, you feel your hunger as a craving you can't get out of your head. You're focused on specific textures, tastes, and smells, and may have really strong cravings. Emotional hunger often leads to regret, guilt, shame, or hiding of food. When you eat to satisfy physical hunger, you're unlikely to feel guilty or ashamed. If you feel guilty after you eat, it's likely because you know deep down that you're not eating for nutritional reasons. You're eating to soothe your emotions. And this behavior isn't congruent with your deeper long-term desires to get healthy. Emotional hunger can't be filled with food. Eating may feel good in the moment, but the feelings that triggered the eating are still there. And you often feel worse than you did before. Emotionally, because you know you didn't need the food and you feel like you're self-sabotaging. Physically, because often the food you ate was high in sugar, so you're experiencing a sugar crash. Know that you will likely get hungry for breakfast or a mid-morning snack if you're used to having breakfast or a mid-morning snack. It's like Pavlov's dog. But recognize your hunger hormone, or ghrelin, pulses. It comes and goes. So when it comes, be sure that you stay busy and stay hydrated. Those are two of the best things to help hunger pass until it's time to eat. You can make a list of things to do instead of eat. Also, avoid the kitchen or being around others eating during your fasting window. Your hunger can be triggered just at the sight, smell, or thought of food. That's why keeping it out of sight and out of mind will help. Now, if you resonated with this video, know that we talk all about intermittent fasting in my online course and community, Weight Loss for Health. If you want to start for free with one of my favorite masterclasses about how to lower your inflammation and insulin resistance, just go to weightlossforhealth.com/masterclass and download that today. I covered a lot of tips in today's video, so let's recap them quickly. If you want to avoid weight gain over the holiday season, try this 6-1 intermittent fasting schedule where you fast for 16 to 18 hours a day and eat for 6 to 8 hours a day. Be sure to structure your meals with enough protein, fiber, fat, and calories to keep you fueled until your next meal. Hydration will be key to feeling good while you're fasting, but stick with water, black coffee, or plain tea to get the most benefits. Anticipate that intermittent fasting will bring out some emotional eating tendencies, and be armed with distractions to keep you busy during your fast. I covered the differences between physical and emotional hunger. Recognize that the hunger will pass, and try to reduce your environmental exposure to food cues or signals during your fast. That will help reduce your hunger. Be sure, if you like this video, to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to this channel, and turn the bell on to get notified each time I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.